Hey guys, Colby Cheese here for some highlights on the Solomid 1v1 tournament. The first match was Scara versus Wings of Death X, and with lots of massive control over both of the blue buffs, Scara was able to hold back Wings of Death X and continually push him to his tower, doing lots of damage and forcing Wings to go back and even forcing him to use his heal and the least desirable situations in the game. Wings had little option here but to lose his tower and stay behind, because every time he got anywhere near the creeps to try and farm, he was harassed down with walls and Q poke from that Karthus, and that blue buff kept Karthus alive with his revolver, so it was unable to trade any poke, and Wings had no options within the game. Before too long, Karthus was able to push down the first tower, and the second tower was within reach. There was nothing Wings could do as he was low health, low mana, and no way to stop Scara from pushing that tower down, so Scara takes game number 1 of the set. For game number 2, Wings of Death X decides to counter by going for a Soraka, which can easily run up to Scara and put down lots of Q damage. He was able to run around, hitting his Qs while dodging Scaras, and in a fight here, he almost takes the kill on Scara, but Scara gets away with just barely any HP at all. And the good thing about the Soraka here is she was able to easily push the lane back against the Karthus, so his blue buff spam was not enough to keep him back, and the sustainability from that Soraka was just enough. Scara makes a huge mistake and kind of gets frustrated with the game, tries to use his ult, gets silenced, and stays around way too long. Wings of Death picks him up with a silence kill at the very end for the first blood. Scara decides to counter the next game with a Rise. He knows that Wings of Death X is going to go for that Soraka, and Soraka is doing actually really well in the early game, but at level 5, that's when Rise starts to shine. He puts down Big Burst onto the Soraka. Unfortunately for him, though, that is her plan. She wants him to burst all of his mana onto her, and that way she can just use her great sustain in the lane to continue farming down the minions and bursting out bits and bits of damage over time. And it does work out in the early game for that Soraka, and she's able to push down the first tower eventually. Soraka stays aggressive in the next push and decides to stay around just a little bit too long, and Rise goes in for the offensive, getting exhausted, and then Soraka goes in for the kill. Maybe a mistake on our part, not remembering that Rise actually has more burst than her and she needs to win in the sustain game, and that's the huge mistake. Scara takes the game, putting Wings of Death X out of the tournament and moving on to the finals round against GOSU right in. GOSU decides to start up the match as a Tryndamere, but this time he's going to go for AP. His goal is to run Scara out of mana, and he can continually heal with his high AP ratios on that heal. So every time he runs up and gets heals, boom, there we go, his health comes back for quite a large amount, and Scara cannot continue to put down too much harass, otherwise he just runs out of mana. It seems to be working out decently, although Radin is being pushed to the tower quite a bit, but his poke onto Scar is really great. All he has to do is spin in, attack once or twice, and then roll on out of there, and he can heal himself up for any damage that he has taken, whereas Scara has to rely on just those health potions, which he is now out of. GOSU seems to be doing really well with this strategy. As GOSU Radin begins leveling up higher, it is not certain if Scar is going to be able to handle the amount of damage and poke that he can put down. Here he's pushed him down to the tower. While Radin is being outpushed, he's able to quickly chase down Scara. He does quite a bit of damage and gets him very low. Unfortunately, he isn't able to pick up the kill. He uses his ultimate to escape here, and now that his ultimate is down, he merely has to be careful, because if Scara does get a good combo on him, it could be lights out for Radin. Unfortunately for Scar, though, he is low health, and he gets in the fight once again. He's really low, and Radin goes for the kill, but he makes the critical mistake of not having his boots, and he's not able to pick it up, and that's going to be really bad for him. But unfortunately, it looks like the person who's getting outplayed is going to be Radin, because he gets B baited, and Scar's able to pick up game number 1. Radin, not happy about being cheese like that, decides to do his own set of cheese, picking up Ezreal in game number 2 versus Scar and going for a level 1 kill, coming around knowing that Scar's going to go for his Wraith Camp, and Ezreal has huge damage potential in the early levels, picks up that kill, and is able to take game number 2, the final game going to determine the winner of the tournament. Radin, expecting Scara to do an AP champion, picks up a Galio in order to counter that out. Unfortunately for him, though, the pushing power of Cassiopeia is just way too strong, especially with that blue buff. He's able to take down that first tower and keep Galio pushed down at low health. He's really low on CS, and at the very end, Radin gets a little bit out of position, and in a last Final battle. Looks like Raiden was able to just barely get his ultimate off before the ultimate comes from Cassiopeia. Barely picking up the kill in a split second. Taking the tournament, and that's it. Raiden wins #1 in the Solomid tournament. Let's just take a look at that last battle again. That was so epic. It really looks like Raiden is out of the tournament right here. He gets ignited. He's really low health, and he's about to die. But that ultimate from Galio is just so strong. Galio's able to put down an ignite, use his ultimate, and boom. Right at the very end, he goes down, and then Raiden dies, but not before taking that first blood. What an amazing game. And there we go, guys. Hopefully you like the highlights reel, and I'll see you guys around for the next one. Peace out.